How a 20-year-old shattered the greatest empire on Earth. Imagine waking up at 20 years old and discovering your father, the most powerful king in Greece, has been murdered. Enemies are watching. Allies are unsure. Your throne hangs by a thread. Most people would be terrified. Alexander? He decided to conquer the world. Today, we're breaking down how a young king from a small, overlooked kingdom marched into Asia and destroyed the Persian Empire, the superpower of its age. Let's begin. 1. The world Alexander inherited. Before Alexander was the Great, he was simply the Prince of Macedon, a kingdom most Greeks considered barbarians. But his father, King Philip II, changed everything. Philip transformed Macedon into a military machine, drilling soldiers daily, inventing the long spear phalanx, and beating every Greek army that stood in his way. Alexander grew up watching this revolution. He wasn't just trained, he was sculpted. Sword fighting, horse riding, hunting lions, debating philosophy. And at 13, he was assigned a tutor you may have heard of, Aristotle. The man who shaped Western thought was now shaping a future conqueror. Aristotle filled Alexander's mind with ideas about heroism, power, empire, and destiny. And Alexander believed all of it. Two, Philip's assassination, and a king is born. Everything exploded in 336 BC. Philip II was assassinated at a celebration. Panic, chaos, enemies ready to strike. And in the middle of that storm, a young Alexander stepped forward. Within days, he secured the throne. Within weeks, he crushed rebellions. And within months, he swept across Greece, reminding everyone, I am my father's son. But Alexander wasn't thinking about Greece. His eyes were fixed across the sea, on Persia, the largest empire the world had ever known, a giant his father had planned to attack, but never did. Now Alexander would finish that mission. 3. Crossing into Asia, the point of no return. In 334 BC, Alexander led about 40,000 men across the Hellespont into Asia. A tiny force compared to Persia's vast armies, but a force trained to perfection. As soon as he touched Asian soil, Alexander threw a spear into the ground and declared, I claim this land by the spear. This wasn't a raid. This wasn't revenge. This was an invasion. and he planned to win. The Battle of Granicus, a reckless gamble. The first Persian army waited at the river Granicus. Most generals advised Alexander to camp for the night. He ignored them. He mounted his horse, lifted his spear, and charged straight through the river, water up to his waist, arrows flying, Persian cavalry waiting to kill him. It was insane, and it worked. In the chaos, a Persian noble raised an axe to kill Alexander, inches from his skull, when Cletus the Black sliced the man's arm off mid-swing. Moments later, the Persian line collapsed. Alexander had just won his first battle in Asia. A myth was forming. This young king doesn't lose. The Battle of Issus. A king meets a king. 1 year later, Alexander faced the Persian emperor himself, Darius III. Darius brought a massive army, maybe far larger than Alexander's, but the narrow battlefield of Issus favored the Macedonians. Alexander didn't just fight. He aimed straight for Darius. He smashed through the Persian left, broke the center, and charged the royal chariot. Darius panicked. He fled. In ancient warfare, when the king runs, everyone runs. The Persian army collapsed. Alexander captured Darius's family, his treasury, and his dignity in a single day. Six, the Siege of Tyre, an impossible city. Now Alexander controlled the eastern Mediterranean, except one fortress, Tyre. A city sitting half a mile offshore, massive walls rising right out of the water, no land access, seemingly impossible to conquer. Alexander's solution? Build the land. He ordered a giant causeway, basically a 600-meter bridge, to be constructed across the sea, stone by stone. 7 brutal months of fighting, engineering, and sheer stubbornness, and Tyre fell. Alexander now ruled the Mediterranean coast, and Persia's navy had no safe harbor left. 7. The invasion of Mesopotamia and a final showdown. Darius wasn't done. He raised one last colossal army, maybe the largest field force ever assembled at that time. Indian elephants, scythed chariots, tens of thousands of cavalry, hundreds of thousands of infantry. This was Persia's last stand. The battlefield would be Gaugamela. Alexander looked out at the enormous Persian camp, stretching as far as the eye could see, and said, "They are too many for us to miss." 8. The Battle of Gaugamela, a masterpiece of war. Persia attacked with overwhelming force, but Alexander saw something no one else did, a weakness forming in the Persian lines. He angled his cavalry away from the center, drew the Persian left wing out of position, and then pivoted with terrifying speed. He charged directly at Darius. Once again, the Persian king panicked and fled. Once again, his armies broke. Once again, Alexander won. Gaugamela wasn't just a victory, it was the destruction of the Persian Empire. Alexander entered Babylon as a liberator, not a conqueror. People lined the streets. The world had changed hands. A new ruler had arrived. 9. The fall of Darius III and the rise of Alexander. Darius fled east, but was betrayed by his own men. When Alexander reached him, the great king of Persia lay dying. Alexander covered him with his cloak, honored him with a royal funeral, and declared himself the rightful heir of the Persian throne. Then he turned to his army and said, "We are not done." The world's greatest empire had fallen, but Alexander wanted more. To conclude the rise of the Great One. At only 25 years old, Alexander had accomplished the impossible. He destroyed Persia. He united Greece. He commanded Egypt. He ruled Asia. But his ambition was not satisfied. Ahead of him lay deserts, mountains, jungles, and kingdoms untouched by Western armies. Alexander would march toward the ends of the earth. And in the next episode, Fusion of Cultures, we explore how he tried not just to conquer the world, but to reshape it forever. Subscribe to Hidden History Fact Vault.